What up, fam? Today we take a shot at advancing our slingshot skills. Stay tuned. Just like last time, our build starts with a forked branch from my yard. Ensuring it's a little larger than my hand, I cut out the area that will be my slingshot. Then, I use a draw knife to remove the bark, though a simple pocket knife could do the trick as well. And once that's clean, I smooth out the fork with a bit of 80 grit sandpaper. Happy with that, it's time to cut in the grooves for our bands. To do this, I just used a round file and carved in the indents about 1/2 inch from the end of each tine. I decided to cover this piece in some true oil, just to add a little bit of protection while keeping the wood's natural grain on display. This stuff is really good at making that natural grain pop. For a little extra grip and flair, I added this bit of red dyed leather using a simple baseball stitch. With that looking all pretty, it's time to make our bands. For this, I'm going to use this gold TheraBand. They're usually used for exercising, but come highly recommended from slingshot enthusiasts. We start by finding our draw length. Using a rope, just hold it in one hand and pull your full draw length, anchoring at the corner of your mouth. Then measure that result and divide it by 5 to get the length of your bands. My draw length is 30, so I cut my bands to a length of 6 inches. FYI, you're going to want to use one of these wheel cutters with a self-healing mat underneath it. Regular razor blades just kind of have a lot of trouble cutting this stuff. It's possible, but it just doesn't come out clean. Now, I want my bands to taper from 1 inch to 3/4 inches. So I lay my ruler along those marks on my mat and cut the band into shape. I then flip the rubber and cut a straight line as the taper is already there on one side, and doing this will leave me with a nice straight edge on my leftover piece. With my 2 bands ready, I made my pouch by cutting this piece of veg tan leather 3 inches long by 3¼ inch wide, and tapering the ends off. I then punched some holes just to make it easier to find the center of my pouch, as well as to help it bend around the ammo. Then I punched holes on either side to provide a space to put my bands through. Okay, so we have our bands, we have our pouch, it's time to connect them together. But first, we're gonna need to make a simple jig to do this. All you need for this is a length of wood and a couple of spring clamps. Now, you see how these clamps have holes in their handles? Position your clamps a few inches apart and mark your width through that hole. Follow suit on the other side as well. Then drive a screw at each one of those marks. These are just going to anchor your clamps into place, completing the jig. Now take the thin end of your band and roll it up like so. Feed that end through one of the holes in your pouch. Bend that end over to lay back down on the outside of the band and pinch it into place. Now clamp that bit of rubber into position on your jig and slide some cotton thread tied into a constrictor knot over the pouch and onto the band. Next, pull on the pouch to stretch the band about 1/4 inch and lock it into place with the other clamp. Now just tighten your constrictor knot into place. If you aren't sure how to tie this knot, just start by rubbing your fingers in the universal gesture of money. Use that movement to twist a loop into your string. Then twist a second loop to form a figure 8 and fold the 2 loops together to form the knot. Then just slide it into place and pull the ends to clinch it. Back at the slingshot, repeat those steps on the other side to lock the pouch into place. Okay, let's connect these bands to the fork here. First, I cut a couple of thin strips of our rubber material to use as a wrap. Next, I laid my bands over the top and to the front of my slingshot and began locking it into place with my thin rubber bands, stretching as I wrap. When just about halfway done, I fold up the end of my slingshot band back over the wrap section. Then I lock that into place as well. To finish it up, I put my finger in the way of the final loops to give myself an opening that I use to lock the elastic into place. The end result is this clean and strong bind that'll hold the band secure under pressure. After repeating that on the other side, it was time to take it out for a test run. And bam! This thing shoots so much faster than the last one. So there you have it. The Slinger 2.0 for your shooting pleasure. Have fun, shoot carefully, and as always, keep leveling up, you.